Guys, you won't believe what is happening. Lumber prices are dropping. But before we get into this, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We just hit 600 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. We was just at 200 maybe like 4 days ago, and I'm honestly so thankful. Let's see if we can get 1,000. That would make my life. Now, lumber prices dropping supports my statement even more that half-price homes are soon coming to the market. Lumber went from $1,000 to $741 in a matter of 6 days. This is going to lower construction costs and give builders more incentive to build lower priced homes. The one caveat to lumber that it's pretty bipolar till it will drop and come back up. But I believe it will stay this way now because of higher mortgage rates. And what majority of people buy lumber just to build homes. If majority of those people are no longer being able to afford homes and the overall demand is lower, lumber prices are going to drop because it's no longer demanded as it once was before. Now, I am by no means no lumber expert at all. I'm just going off of things I learned from economics. And the reason why I know buyer demand is going down is my phone is literally getting spammed with price cuts from Redfin. Look at this house with a price cut of 21%. It dropped $200K in value. This is happening more frequently. This means buyer demand is cooling down. Mortgage applications in the U.S. sank 11% in the week ending May 13th, the biggest decline in 3 months, as both the purchase index, negative 11.9%, and the refinance one, 9.5% plunge, generally uncertain about the near-term economic outlook, as well as recent stock market volatility. We may be causing some households to delay their home search, said Joel Cannon. The average contract rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage edged down by 5 BPS to 5.49%. Mortgage applications have declined down to 11%. Not to mention inflation. This means people are going to be able to put less on the down payment. Let's look at the mortgages, right? So let's say this home was $300,000. Granted, this is not even the average home price. I'm just being a little bit more lenient. So the total monthly payment would be $1,413, and this is with 3% interest on a $60,000 down payment. Well, 20% down payment. My bad. And this is including taxes and fees. So now if we go to up the interest, which is right around 5.9% interest rates, 5.9%. Granted, you have $1,825 monthly payment. Now, this may not seem that much. Over the span of a year, you will nearly be paying $5,000 more extra. Look at this graph. Mortgage payments have risen to 49% and wages have only grown to 6%. And we add inflation to this, you have a 2.5% negative wage growth. These wealthy real estate investors have to convene to the market. We are having a affordability crisis. People are not going to be able to afford these sky-high prices that these people are putting up for buyers. So they're going to eventually have to come down unless they're just going to sit on the market. Buying power is steadily decreasing, and a lot of people saying, oh, we're not going to have a housing crash. Well, just because they say lending is more strict and more practical, but there's other ways to have a housing crash. That's like saying there's only one way for you to get in a car crash. No, there's a multitude of ways. 64% of Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck. Don't fall victim to FOMO. They say the economy is doing good, but honestly, the economy isn't really doing good at all. Inflation is causing this illusion. And don't forget, these bigger corporations, they probably own properties themselves. So them actually gaslighting the housing market benefits them more than anything. We are seeing increases in foreclosures and evictions. Not to mention a lot of these real estate companies, their stock has went down. Look at Redfin. Their stock has absolutely tanked. And stocks usually go up on depending on how good of a company is doing. These real estate companies isn't doing good, so why are they giving out, false alluding housing reports sometimes? Now, some of them do say something bad about the housing market, but I feel like a lot of them don't show the true picture of the housing market. Now, people always like to say, well, if I can't buy, then I'm a rent, but rent is so high, so why would I rent? The reason why I say rent is better for, as of right now, the short term, because once these houses hit the market, rent is going to come down too. Nobody's going to pay $2,000 for a house if the house next door is $1,400. And let's say you bought a house during this. This is most likely the house you don't even want. You didn't even want this house. and you just bought this house, and now you've probably flipped on your equity because that house is not worth as what it once was, because now there's more inventory on the market. Now, speaking of more inventory, and it's kind of convenient that lumber prices have went down, and I always say a lot on this channel that housing, America is building more houses than it actually ever has before. So let's look at this data real quick. Building permits in the United States dropped 3.2% from a month earlier to a seasonally adjusted annual rate of 1.819 million April 2022. Now, the decrease may seem bad, but we're about to get into the good part, so don't skip this. The lowest in 5 months, but above market expectations of 1.812 million. Authorizations for buildings with 5 units or more went down 0.6% to 658,000, and those for single family declined 4.6% to a rate of 1,110. Permits fell in the Northeast 11.9% to 163,000. The Midwest negative 3.5% to 251,000, and in the West negative 8.4% to 423,000. But increased in the South by 1% to 982,000. Now, this may seem bad because there's a lot of negatives that was being thrown around, but as you guys can see, building permits have been up a lot. Look at from 2021, and has risen from 2022. You got the highest 1.896 million building permits in December of 2021, 1.841 in January 22, and in February 1.857 million. And in March, 1.879 million. In April, 1.819 million. Now, April did have a steady decline, but it's still higher than actually pre-pandemic. As you can see, guys, look at the building permits. They were actually very, very low, and then they just spiked up. Now, guys, we want to dig even more into this data. Let's look at housing starts in America, and this actually has been the same trend. There's been more housing starts in America as well. Housing starts in the U.S. declined 0.2%. norm to an analyzed 1.724 million units in April of 2022, after a 2.8% drop in March and below market forecast of 1.765 million. Single-family housing starts dropped 7.3% to 1,100,000, while the rate for units in buildings with 5 units or more jumped 16.8% to 612,000. Sales fell in the Northeast and the Midwest, negative 22%, negative 23%, but rose in the South 10.6% and West 3.3%. The housing market is showing signs of cooling as inflation soars, mortgage rates are at 12-year highs, building materials costs remain elevated, supply constraints persist at a general economic uncertainty weigh on customers' affordability. So this data is coming from the U.S. Census Bureau. Housing starts have been higher than ever. If we look at 2018 and we go all the way to 2022, America has been starting more homes than 2018. This is going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for 800 subs. Because by the time we're going to be at 800 subs, we've been growing so fast. Now, guys, I am not a financial advisor. I just like to share my opinion. And if there's anything that you guys think that you disagree with, educate me in the comments, because I always want to get smarter.